All right. Hello to anyone who could be watching this on the internet, which, there could be a lot of you, there could be not many of you, whatever the number is. I thank you very much for checking out this video. This game that you're going to watch is arranged through the Gauntlet, which is a community on the internet that gets together and plays tabletop role-playing games online. You can check out all the stuff the Gauntlet does at gauntlet-rpg.com, where you'll find a plethora, nay, a smorgasbord of stuff to do with indie tabletop role playing games. So, like story games, PBTA, OSR stuff. You find blogs, forums. There is the monthly zine that the Gauntlet produces called the Codex, which usually comes out with either supplements to existing games or original games in itself. One of those games you might have heard of is Trophy, which is it started off as a haunted horror game of cursed adventurers venturing into a forest, and has kind of spiraled into its own thing. So check that out. That was through the Gauntlet. There's also their extensive podcasting network, which usually talks about lots of a different variety of role playing games. Through many different shows. And of course, there's the Hangouts calendar, through which, the main reason for the Gauntlet kind of hangs around, which is, games. Hangouts calendar usually is 100 plus games up, usually different ranges of games. If I was not prepared for this tangent, but if I look at the calendar right now, what kind of games are out there? You can see stuff like, Alas for the Awful Sea, Monster Hearts, Masks, Fellowship. There's Rich Rogers' Star Wars Saturday, which is his ridiculous attempt to bring any game, and I do mean any game, into Star Wars. So far, it's worked out really well for him. Other smaller indie games like Dusk to Midnight, reworkings of games like What If Cthulhu Dark, but in World War II and you're spies. There we go. Stuff like that. And this game, like many others in the Gauntlet Hangouts calendar, was arranged through there. This game is part two of our two-part sojourn into the dark. It's a Forged in the Dark game by Strash Ashimovic and John W. Sheldon. You might know Strash from having co-written other Forged in the Dark games like Scum and Villainy and Band of Blades. Forged in the Dark means that this is a hack of Blades in the Dark by John Harper. Whilst Blades in the Dark is about, thieves, scoundrels, ne'er-do-wells in an industrial fantasy city, Into the Dark is about, that most classic of role-playing tropes, adventurers, hardy bands of delvers going deep into, not so much a dungeon, but the post-apocalypse. In this world covered in murk and darkness that hates the light, that devours flame, our player characters are what's called delvers, who brave a strange and alien darkness-covered environment to protect their homes, maybe in the process recover some valuables and find information on the world that existed before the dark. So we got a pretty good taste of that darkness last session with their swarms of weirdo insects and the glimpses we got into, how normal life is working in this post-apocalypse. But let's reintroduce those delvers. As anyone who's seen the first episode, the first video, will notice that we don't have Steven with us. Sadly, scheduling, how it is. I will shout out. I think he's recorded it. I hope he's recorded it anyway. And I know he's running some stuff for the Gauntlet, specifically Alas for the Awful Sea, which is a game about being a sad English ship crew wandering around the British Isles and being sad. I played this, and it is quite sad. If he puts a video, go ahead.
I was going to say, why would you need to play a game for that? That's my life.
You're not a sad British crew in the 19th century.
Point.
Yeah. So how it is. Role-playing games, they're escapism. Cool. So, let's reintroduce the folks who are at the table. So, go on the order of the character keeper from left to right. I'll ask you to introduce yourself, any the pronouns that you use. If there's anything you want to shout out on the internet, like cool thing either you're involved with or just a cool thing that people should know, feel free to do so. And then, if you don't mind, just reintroduce your character for us. So I'll start with Philip.
Sure. My name's Philip. I've been playing with the Gauntlet for a little while now. I also play with some. Lately, there seems to be a whole lot of online conventions that I've been playing in there. I use he/him as my pronouns, and I guess from a character perspective, I'm playing a Murk hunter named Davenn, who saved up from his earnings as a cobbler to try to finally have a life of adventure. And he has struck out and realized that the world is a lot crazier outside of his little shop.
Sad to say. Up next, Leanna, would you kindly introduce yourself?
Forgot to unmute myself. Hi, I'm Liana. She, they pronouns. I'm a nerdy trans girl from Britain with very little internet presence. And my character is Amber, who uses she/her pronouns. She is a member of the church, one of the light bearers, a devoted and zealous monk of her religious order, who spends her time when not delving deep into the murk to destroy creatures of the shadow, in a temple, removing any traces of impure thought from texts from before the murk.
Hell yeah. We saw a bit of where that what that devotion can gift you last time, for sure. Hopefully we'll see more of that. And I guess I should have introduced myself. Hi, my name is Leandro. I use he him pronouns, and I there was a time when I used to run anything else than just Forge in the Dark games. But if you check my channel, which you presumably watch through this, it's just that. That's all I've done now. And this is just the latest iteration of it. So, yeah, last session. Actually, before we get into last session, I do want to talk about safety tools that we're using, just to make sure everyone is aware of what we have to ensure that we're playing in a safe and comfortable environment. I remind folks to look at the safety tab, which have our lines and veils. Lines are things that won't be crossed, just won't show up in the fiction at all. Veils are things that can happen in fiction, but we're not gonna concentrate on it. Like it can, it happens off screen, or we're we can move on, or it gets like a sentence or two. Like we're not gonna linger on it. There's also a column for ask first. Basically, if one is to introduce this element that's checked there, and I include myself in that circle, one should ask the table first if everyone's okay with it being introduced. I'll also mention that the other tool that we're using is called script change. Basically, it's a variety of different commands that lets us kind of modulate how the game basically let's just modulate when we need to zoom in, so to speak. In the roll for your party, which I'll put a link in our chat as well, you can see they're kind of the three main commands that we're going to be using from script change. First up is rewind. So when you call for a rewind, you kind of back up to a specific point in the scene and do the scene over again, and trying to avoid whatever issue led to the rewind. I might ask some questions on what that issue is, and it could be anything. It could be a name, or it could be an element of the scene, like just the general tone of it, or even the scene itself. If anyone's finding issue with that, and no one gets a question if we call for a rewind, if it does, we'll figure out what the issue is and we'll try a different way. Also, there is pause. Pause is basically if you need a break from the table, whether there's because it's an intense scene, you're like, oh boy, we need to catch our breath, or you need to take a bio break, or there's an emergency you need to take care of. And at any time, people can call for pause. Or also if you need some clarity, if they're like, hey, wait, what's happening here, which could totally happen, and there's no shame in asking for any clarity. So role-playing games can take a lot of cognition out of folks, and it's perfectly fine if like you miss stuff and you want to like, hey, what's happened here, and you can call a pause for that. And also there's the fast forward, which is this is when we need to like fade to black or advance time is needed to like avoid content or elements of play. This is kind of part of like how we do with veils. Basically, if something's happening that like, yeah, we don't need to linger on this, we just fast forward, anyone can call for like a fast forward. Yeah, I think those are kind of like the main ones. And of course, once we're kind of like when we kind of like come back to normal play, people can call for a resume, which is basically we can use resume to return to normal play at any time as the player who called the original script change in effect. So those are kind of like the safety tools that we have on the table. Let me talk about the last session because yeah, we got a pretty decent glimpse of our characters here. If I actually, I wouldn't mind if I ask. It's okay if you don't remember because it's been a while. But I'll ask each of you kind of like, what's a cool thing your characters did or learned about in the previous session? Yeah, if you got an idea, feel free to jump in.
One thing that my character did that was really cool was creating a ward of holy silver light to keep out horrid insect demon, and then reaching through the fire to offer salvation to our unfortunately no longer here sorceress of the dark magics.
Yeah, all that effort to save her got you quite a bit of corruption as well. Absolutely
What about
all
you,
worth
Philip?
it. What about our cobbler turned delver? What's a cool thing they did?
Sure. I guess finally getting the opportunity to step into the literal breach and put themselves between harm and others. That's kind of what he's always aspired to do. He's always aspired to throw himself into adventure and to be the protector that he's always Walter Mitty dreamed of while sitting there working in his shop.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember you did like you you kind of like tried to land your back on a bunch of insects. I remember this. Um,
Absolutely. Why just use the sword when you can land on all of them?
yeah, worked out. You drove it away for sure, and you managed to beat it back, so you can all have got a moment to rest at least. So I should reintroduce actually where you are and why you're here. Basically, the assignment you took upon yourselves is there has been a quake from the north that has shaken through the village of Tyrell. And it's burst through its barricades and exposed vents of noxious gas and smells from below. The order has determined that the tremor has come from a night well up in the north, and you have been following this quake, this like tremor from Tyrell to try and find a source. You got to a park with a bunch of like jumbled up trees that's been kind of torn apart by the earthquake. Um, and that's where you were attacked by a swarm of insects of a kaleidoscopic weird color. It was like a weird sickly light show of an insect swarm. I managed to survive. Although I think I remember like probably calling that encounter short and being like, all right, I'm sorry, you can land the final blow, take some corruption and take some weird visions. You did see the source of the night well, which is like this big sloping pit, and on the edges of the pit are the kind of ruined buildings, destroyed landscapes, and right in the middle of it is what looks like a small church. Um, so that's absolutely a vision that um, one of you saw. I'm gonna say that person is still here, just to, just to even things out, or just to make things simpler. Mm. So okay, I'm gonna say that like if it's okay with folks, that after that encounter, you kind of like set up camp to like get some rest. And I think around the time either of you waking up, hear the skittering of spider legs, like a massive swarm of spider legs. And when you kind of wake up, you see that like your compatriot, our dear Hazel, has just mysteriously vanished. It's just gone into the dark.
What one memento of her, like, or sign of her passing did she leave?
Ooh. I let me look at the stuff she had. I think one black candle. That's kind of like you can tell it's used up. The wick is like gone, but like, and there's smoke drifting from it. But it's just there. Yeah. So
I'll go. She had the awareness to light the candle. Do you think she left, or do you think she was taken?
I doubt she would have lit the candle if she was taken. That feels like it wouldn't be her priority. Which means that most likely she has abandoned us.
Well, I always did lean more towards the light than the shadows. So
I'm glad to hear that.
I guess we're what we got what we need. I'm not ready to go home yet.
We still have a light well to close, even if it is just a night well, even if it is just the two of us.
Absolutely.
okay. So I think the two of you will press on, and I think you kind of get out. You kind of traverse this wood. Actually, I might ask for a roll to traverse this this broken up wood. Who's taking point?
I don't know exactly what taken point means.
It's kind of like leading. Oh, go
At
ahead.
this point, I think we probably are walking next to each other.
Yeah.
At least out in the open. Me with my shield in front, and Amber with the lantern. So she's probably on the right. I'm probably on the left.
That's fair. Yeah. I will say like you will get through this forest. It's just that I
Of
think
course.
I need kind of like maybe some sort of action roll to see how well you get through this forest.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What does it feel like? Maybe a prowl? Or
Insight, vigilance.
Ooh.
Would that be because we're being aware?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's go through how to roll again, because that's been a while. When you attempt a dangerous or difficult action, the GM will tell you to make an action roll. To make an action roll, you're going to take 1 6-sided die per the attribute that you're using, and a +1 die if you have an action that applies. You may gain up to plus or minus 1 to 2 dice if you have significant advantages or disadvantages. You may push, which is spending 1 stress, to add +1 die. Again, we're back to like, if you position yourself like fictionally well, I will give you that die for sure.
I would like to use my insight and vigilance, which is 2 dice, but I would like to take advantage of Amber using the lantern to add the 3rd.
Yeah, I'll give that to you. That seems really cool.
Does this game have a help mechanic?
As far as I remember, hold on. I think so because I know normal blades has help. Right. Trying to find it here on the sheet.
It might be that helping just counts as an advantage.
Yeah, I think that the light that Amber's given out is that advantage. That's. Or hold on, I should look up assist. There we go. Yeah, I think that would count as an advantage. So it's helpful.
Okay, I'm gonna roll the 3 dice then.
Okay.
4, 3, 1. Oh, sorry, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, yeah, go for party. It's being tricksy with us. Okay. Let me find where am I? Okay, so
Partial success.
yes, success with a consequence, either limited effect, taking damage, or complications. Okay, I think you will absolutely get through this forest. Yeah, and I think when you kind of like emerge, you're kind of like in what looks like, well, for us modern day people, I don't know if the two delvers would recognize it, but you look like we're like at the center of a park. um like you got these like nice rows of flowers, and there's like benches, and I think in the middle of this is like a small sort of what looks like a community center sort of building, like this like one floor like rectangular sort of building, and you can see like the trees around it are kind of like around this like circular sort of, it's like the center of a park, so it's like a circle in the middle, but it's been ripped in half, right, and the community center has been torn in twain, and you can see as well that like that community center has not been found, it's not been left behind. You can tell like there's some barricades around it. Some folks have bunched up some benches to make small barricades. The windows have kind of been boarded up.
There's only so much barricading you can do if there's a huge hole in the middle of your building.
Yeah, like when it's cut your building in half. And I think you kind of see there's like some small torches lined around the community center. Nothing like a brilliant flame. But I think the two of you kind of emerge and you hear like a hello. And you see there's a figure waving behind the barricade. And I think you see two other figures go up to him and kind of like you can see they clamp their mouth shut. And here's why: because that big hello, and your light, it's kind of it's kind of makes you out to be like big targets, right? So I think you hear a shifting through the trees to your right. And I think the figure whose mouth's being covered is kind of making a come here sort of gesture as you hear kind of like this hulking thing kind of like lumbering from towards your right.
I put myself between it and Amber, and I say, Amber, run.
Amber, are you gonna run?
Trying to like grab you and like pull you along.
Oh, I'm right behind you. I'm right behind you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. This isn't the time for a dramatic last stand.
Oh
Let's go.
yeah.
And I'm going to run for it.
Yep. And I will follow, but keeping myself between the noise and her.
Okay. I think Amber, your role is probably because there's not like a group action in this. It's very simplified compared to Origin and Dark. Amber, I'm gonna make your role kind of count for the two of you.
Makes sense. Because if I don't get away, then neither does Davenn.
Yep.
Makes sense. So I assume it'll be prowess if it's physical toughness.
Yes.
Prowess athletics, which I do not have. So I'm on one die at the moment. Also, I have established that my character is like middle-aged. I feel like that should count as a negative die. I feel like I am probably not at my fittest and my spryest.
No. And honestly, I was gonna hit you with another one. Well, I don't know. Is Davenn doing anything to like help Amber?
Oh yeah, I'm basically encouraging her. So I've got I'm giving her a slight push, more of a physical encouragement than it is anything else. Where I think that she's probably going to be able to go a little bit more faster than she thinks she normally would be able to, just because she knows that this is coming. He's kind of pushing her a little bit.
Right. I think that will negate your middle-agedness. So I think just one die. You can push yourself, take 1 stress to get another die.
I'd forgotten about that, but I did roll a 5.
Cool. All right.
Nice.
Yeah, 5's good. 5 is it's still success at a cost. Okay. So I think as you run and as the van kind of like puts himself between you and whatever's coming, the trees kind of like get moved apart and this hulking thing kind of like lumbers out. Well, it's hard to make out what this thing is. Well, it's clearly humanoid, but it looks like it's made up of so many other different humanoids. And it kind of looks for like in a gorilla like gait. Gait as in Gait. And you can see that like its arms are kind of made up of what looks like bound up bodies, and its torso is also kind of made up of bound up bodies. It doesn't look like it has a head. You can see like it's also like the way it squirms. It's like tightly compressed. These kind of like bodies, and you can see like it's giving off like bits of that gas as well. And I think the complication is hold on, let me look at the stats of this thing. Yeah, this thing has stats. Let's see, did I give it a okay, no, I did not give it a projectile attack, thankfully. I think because I think actually let me describe how you get there first. So I think oh, okay. Here's the complication. I think when you get to like the community center, you can see like they've kind of like almost barricaded their gates, and you hear like scuffling behind the gates and like and I think I hear this like raspy sort of voice being like, you delivers from the order, are you?
Yes, you've got to let us in.
Yeah, you should. You brought that thing coming for us.
Open the door.
We need proof. Have you come to save us from the Nightwell? You hear the thing coming towards you.
I think I can offer some proof. I think I turn around, like take the silver flame off of its like holy chain, and just like pour the flame in front of me. And again, like a wall of fire starts to like appear between like us and the beast. And I think we like see visually like this like huge figure like in darkness, and suddenly it's like cast into stark relief, and you can see so much more of the detail and so many more of like the like hands gripping each other that make up its arms as it like pulls back.
Yeah, I think that is a roll. It does say here, attune the flame, which is an action roll.
Makes sense. So that'll be 2. Wait, no. 2. I think I'm going to push myself for a 3rd.
Okay.
Would you say that having to do it very quickly counts as a disadvantage?
Wow, I like it when you're coming up with the disadvantages yourself. Thanks very much. Yeah, if you're fine with it, I think you're under duress.
I would like to offset that by the fact that my shield is in front of her, so she physically sees a barrier that so she can actually put her head down and concentrate, knowing she's not going to get blindsided.
Like I might suggest, rather than that being a helping die, I might say if there is a consequence, you're the one that takes it.
Sure, absolutely.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. That protect. Yeah, that is how protecting works. You cannot take the consequence for a teammate, which is one of your XP triggers. I noticed that.
It is.
Cool. So that would be a 5 again.
Man, mixed successes all year round. Okay, so I think, all right. here's kind of like what happens. Davenn, you put your shield, and yeah, Amber, can you describe what this barrier looks like? Because you're gonna be successful for sure. You kind of described it already, but if there's any other details.
So so I think this building has like a little wooden foyer, just like quite simple and basic, with just like a little porch with like a small well, like what would have once been a small shoe rack full of shoes, but now there's no way that you're leaving anything you own outside in the dark. And I think like along the three open walls of that foyer, I'm like pouring this silver oil. It just like burns so brightly and so cleanly. It has like a crisp smell, as if fire could smell cold. This would.
Yeah, I think as the fire erupts, this thing reaches out a hand, and I think it kind of grasps your shield, Davenn. But the fire comes out, and it kind of like cuts through the arm, and it cuts through in like this gigantic burst of this noxious gas that starts covering you, Davenn. That's a complication. That's gonna be. Let me look at the stats. A d6 of corruption. So first, roll me a d6 and see if you want to resist that, Davenn. And corruption is different from an attack. So this gets through your armor.
3.
3. So you're gonna take 3 points of corruption. Do you want to resist that?
By resisting, I take a stress and I roll a d6 to offset it.
Yes.
I will.
Am I thinking you only take stress if you don't roll a 6?
Oh yes, yeah. You don't mark a stress if you roll below a 6. Oh, you mark if you roll 6. You don't mark a stress. So let's go through how resistance works.
I rolled a 1, so I offset 1, so I take 2 corruption and 1 stress.
Well, here's what happens. Wait, did you roll those 3 dice?
And die.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Which attribute did you roll with? Oh, you only have 1 die, and Hold on. Let's get. Sorry, I'm just confused. Which one did you roll?
I thought it was just roll 1.
Oh no, there is a process to building this dice pool. So what we do is you're gonna take 1 die per the appropriate attribute you're rolling. Which one is that? Prowess, insight, or resolve?
Prowess, I guess.
Cool. And you're gonna take an extra die for every toughening of that attribute, which is those check boxes next to it. So prowess has 1 toughening, so you have an extra die.
Okay.
So you roll 2 dice, and we'll take the highest.
They're both 2s.
Oh my god. So okay. All right. So you're gonna mark 1 stress, and you're only gonna take half damage, which I think you round up, so you're still gonna take 2 points of corruption. What does that feel like, Davenn, when like this noxious gas can like goes through your nostrils?
You know that feeling when you're feeling watched, and then you look around and nobody's there. Well, this kind of makes you feel like somebody is watching every bit of you at the same time.
Yeah, I think you get like we ended last session with like a weird POV camera shot of that caterpillar, and this like rotted, gross-looking nun. I think you get a shot again of that nun still sitting where she is, clothes caked in grime and muck, and I think it just reaches up a skeletal-looking hand, like thin and rotted, and it's holding in it a familiar-looking kind of spider. And then the spider is struggling in its grip, and it kind of like it puts the spider into like its hood, and you hear like a crunching sound.
All I know is right now I want to get inside and I want to clean everything I own.
Yeah, I think the raspy voice guy's like, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. And when you open the gate, you see that for some reason, I'm imagining this guy has a very dilapidated top hat. I don't know why, and a beard. He's basically a bloodborne NPC. He's kind of covering his eyes, like, all right, get in, get in, get in. Keep that fire going, lass. We might be able to just drive it away. Um, and yeah, I think he kind of like shepherds you into like this half of the community center. Um, I kind of want to ask like a detail kind of each of you as we kind of like take our breaths and like, ooh, we just got out of that. Um, I want to ask each of you like a detail that like each character notices about this like makeshift community center slash dwelling.
I think that there's an old stage that's kind of built up in the corner where it looked like they used to put on presentations, but now it just looks worn down and scary.
I think there's a pile of cans, of tinned food, like tin sausages and hot dogs and fruit, most of which are now empty and have been like hammered down, and parts of the barricade are made of these like flattened tin cans riveted together.
Yeah, I think as well the room you're kind of into it. They're building some like small walls, but you can see it's clearly open. The crack is gonna turn up, and you can see there are people on the other side of this crevasse. Um, and you can see that that side has a stove, um, or at least some sort of small fire. Um, and I think there's not many people on this side. I think this side you can clearly tell are kind of like where some of the hunters or like some of the warriors are. There are some folks are cleaning some like sharp like swords on over there. um and I think the let's see, let me look at my name generator. I think you see like kind of like the people kind of like turn towards attention as you kind of like file in almost like and obviously there's like eyes kind of like on the two of you. I think this lady, actually not much of a lady, honestly, looks quite young. She's wearing a poncho that's been stitched over and over and over, and a fishing hat. I don't know why this detail is very important. Um, I think she's the first to come up to the two of you, and she says, "Are you? You've been sent by? I heard you. You say you've been sent by the Order, yes?"
We have,
Yeah.
my child. The Order knows about your plight and has sent us here to save you all, to bring you back into the light.
Um, Thank you, but no offense implied, but the Order only sent two of you?
Yeah, but it's two pretty good ones.
The number of bodies is not what matters. What matters is the flame we carry within our hearts, and our flames burn bright.
I think like I don't know if she's that convinced. She kind of like flanges a bit and says, "Well, if that is what we're given, then we must wait do. But how how long have you been traveling? You must need some. Well, there's not much we can give, but this is a respite of sorts, I suppose. My name is. Hold on, I'm looking at my name generator. My name is Etta. Um, I guess this used to be the Brahm Center, I guess, or it could still be. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask my mom, but she's kind of she's and she points to the other half of the community center.
Okay.
How long has the building been split?
Um, by our reckoning, it's only been a week, but our community is not that large. It was something we've been trying to establish for quite some time, we were making grounds. The territory up north wasn't that well covered, so we thought this seemed like a nice central place to build something. But and she's looking at the crevasse. It's hard to make sense of how to build over that, to be honest.
This is the danger of trying to establish new homes without the light of the flame, without something to ward away a corruption that splits the earth and poisons the air.
Let me roll a quick fortune die to see what she thinks about the order. Cool, that's a 6, so she's fine with you. I think she kind of has like a half of you sort of laugh and says, "Well, don't let my mother hear that kind of talk. Then she's not a fan."
Sorry to hear that. Perhaps once you've all been saved, your mother and I could talk through her issues that she has with the order. But that is not our most important concern.
Yes, of course. I know someone who can take you to the Nightwell, but you might want to get a rest here for the moment before you set off. We'll give what we can. Although frankly, all we can give much is the comfort of, well, other people's presence. We don't have much food or anything to. But I hope it'll be fine.
Hospitality is more than we were hoping for. We expected to be out in the wilds with monsters at every corner. This lovely little home is a welcome respite, and we're grateful for your hospitality.
Absolutely, and I will take you up on it if there's anything warm.
I think she smiles at that and says, "Well, we'll see what we have. Sadly, we only have one stove for the center, and it's over there. But we'll see what we have. Yeah, I think mechanically, well, since you chose to stay here, you can clear one stress. Well, I'll give you that anyway. And yeah, there's maybe a scene of respite or if anything you want to do here before we set off. But before we kind of get into that, we are kind of coming up to the top of the finish off in our first hour. So if folks mind, I want to take a quick break, if that's okay with folks.
Sounds good. While our characters do the same.
Yeah, let's say it's come back at the half hour mark, so 6 minutes.
Gotcha.
So I'll pause this and we'll be back. Okay, welcome back. So we're kind of at this place of rest for the moment. And yeah, I think I'll give you all if there's a scene you want to do either with yourselves or doing something with this quite small community, honestly. Shout it out before we kind of tromp back off into the dark, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I'll kind of start with Davenn. Is there anything you want to do?
Right now, I imagine he's drinking something warm, drinking some tea, taking his armor off, cleaning all of it, trying to find where the corruption was, and not being successful and putting each piece back on, and it still feels wrong.
Yeah.
So he's just got that look of a person in the middle of a job that might never get finished.
Yeah, I think Edda has been watching you. That young lady. She's given you tea out of her own thermos, basically. And she says, if you don't mind me asking, what happened there?
What happened where?
Well, with you and what you're doing.
There was just something wrong, some creature, some manifestation of corruption that was outside that's threatening this building, that it was eventually repulsed by the light, but it still got on me, in me, somewhere. I just can't find where that is.
Is there anyone who can find it for you? I don't think they'll be here, but do you know if anywhere you
I'm
can help?
I'm sure once this is done, Amber can point me in the right direction. But right now, my job is just to make sure that she gets to where she needs to be, and she needs to do the job she needs to do. So, last thing I need to do is whine.
Well, my mom always said that, like, you should always at least dedicate a tiny portion, not the biggest portion, but a portion of your day to letting go of what's troubling you. I already did my portion today, so I can't tell you. Not that I would, because you're a stranger.
I appreciate any advice, and just it's there'll be time for that once the job's done.
Have you been doing this job for a while? Not
Seems,
this job, but
it seems like I've been doing this for a really long time, but I don't think so. But yeah, this is not quite what I thought it was going to be, but
well,
it's interesting.
What did you think it was going to be?
I just thought it was going to be a lot more fighting, a lot less peeing in the woods. Let's just say that.
I think she nods at that, and
yeah,
I kind of thought the same thing. Not that I was a fighter, although I wanted to be, but my family was more concerned with staying put and building something rather than going out there,
Yeah. Well, you guys are brave being here. It takes guts to not be around a group of people. It takes guts to put things on the line and make a risk.
You really think we're being brave?
I think so. You're taking a chance. That's a form of bravery. It's easier, you could be in one of the towns. You could be, but you're taking a risk to do something new. You're taking a risk to do something better for your family. That's bravery right there.
Hold on. I need to consult the table, and no, this isn't an action roll. Don't worry. I just need to maybe do a fortune roll, which is going to be a D6 to see if she opens up to you. Because I mean, I would. I don't know. I'd open up to gregarious Davenn.
I guess I'd ask: is it more interesting if she does or if she doesn't open up?
Actually, you know what? Yeah, actually, yeah. Sometimes you don't need to roll dice. Maybe it is more interesting. I think she takes a sip, and she says well, sometimes it's not really a choice to be out here. And I think she scoots closer to you, kind of away from Amber's direction.
Well, and I know it's not much, but it's probably different. I kind of offer some of the rations that I have. It might not be good food, but it's different food, and sometimes that's actually okay too.
Yeah. All right. Cross off your rations. No, I'm kidding. No, don't.
This child eats a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Enough for a day's worth. What's up with that? No, it's fine. Yeah, I think she'll take some, and I think as she kind of does that, she does when she raises her hand, she's still wearing the poncho. I think and she kind of does this deliberately so you can see. I think her right arm, you can see she's been wearing gloves this kind of whole time, but underneath the poncho there's not like a long sleeve shirt, and I think you can see like her right arm is kind of like there's like this mottled line of scales that look like they've been kind of like infused on her skin. Um, and she kind of gives you like this look as she kind of like takes your the rations you offered.
I don't point out to her that I saw the scales. I'm sure a young girl is the last thing she wants to do is have a stranger identify something she's probably self-conscious about. I do want to take a look at her shoes, though.
Okay. Do you say that?
No, I just look down. Is it something, because if it's something that I could fix, she's probably not wearing great footwear, but I could probably, I probably have things in my armor that I could help her out with.
Yeah. I'd say that like definitely from your practice eye, their shoes have been worn out for quite a bit, or their boots that have been could use with the replacing or a touch up.
I take some of the leather out from my shield lining and some of my armor patch kit, and I ask her. I said, "Hey, can I see those for a second? I think I can help you out." And then I just want to do what I can to patch them up.
Yeah. I think like she's at first she gives like this confused sort of look, like, wait, you know how to work shoes? Really?
I go, I wasn't born a warrior.
Oh, I guess
We,
I just
we all had day jobs.
okay. Yeah, I guess that's true. No one really does this for a living, do they?
Not long.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. If you don't mind having a look.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I let her kind of do her thing, and I kind of do my thing, and we each just sit next to each other.
Yeah, that's fab. Can't wait from you, Davenn, to Amber. Is there anything you want to do or check out in this little community center before we move forward?
So I think what I'm doing is I'm trying to tell stories to like the people that are here. So like there's a scene of potentially like the camera shows the two of you sitting together, and then like pans to me and everyone else there, the like handful of other people this side of the community center sitting around, and I'm trying to tell them a story that helps them keep their hopes up. I'm telling them of the days before the Murk, the days that were beautiful and bright. There was a great light in the sky, a great fire, the first fire, and that fire is and I've got the silver light held high above my head as I do this, and talk about how the light used to shine down on us all and warm everyone's faces, and every corner of the earth was beautiful and perfect and safe. But eventually, that fire was taken from us, and take the light down and like cover it with my hand, and the room is immediately cast into shadow, and the only light you can see is like the stove from across the chasm. And however, there is, even though that great golden light is gone, there are still others like it. The Order of the Silver Flame keep keep the fires burning, keep fires that we lit from the great, from the first fire, the source of all flames. We try to keep them burning. However, this is not the most important flame that was born of the first. Most important flame is the flame that is inside us all, and I don't just mean this metaphorically. when like put your hand to your neck, and they all do. So you feel the warmth that courses through your veins. The, like the, that is the fire within you that keeps your body burning. The reason your heart beats is because the fire pushes it. The reason that we get up each and every day to continue like fighting and continue changing, continue learning and making the world a better place is because that fire is within us all. And in the same way that the silver light cannot be claimed by the darkness, neither can the light that's within all of us. And that is why I know we're going to be okay.
That's really neat. I don't know why, but I really want to be a role of some sort, because I think this will help like kind of cover your rear when you kind of like press forward. Because as Edda has kind of like implied, this community kind of like is not fond of the order a bit. But so I want to see like how effective this sermon from Amber is.
That makes sense. It's probably a leadership role.
Yes. I will say, Mark your use the flame to end the threat. You kind of did that by driving away.
Oh, nice. Yes.
So
Beautiful.
What is the name in my stats? Oh, it's called a collection. That's what
nice.
the creature is called.
So
it's fab. So yeah, what attribute are you rolling with this?
this is probably resolve.
Yes, charisma, persuasion.
Yep. Resolve plus leadership's on 2 dice. Would you say that the fact that I warded away like a monster from their home gives me an advantage?
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm going to push myself for another.
Oh my gosh. I just gave you back that stress.
Committed. And I got a full success.
Yes. All right. So I think, yeah. What does that look like when, how does your, give me like the full effect of your sermon on this like small group, which I'm saying is probably no more than 10 people, I'd say, is kind of like in this small place.
I think like when we came in, they were tired and scared and cold and shivering. And now it's like as I look around the room, I can see the silver light reflected in each one of their eyes, and like I can see that there's more hope there. That they actually believe that they're going to be okay, and for a short period of time, they can forget their worries and forget their doubts and the grim thoughts they've been having about this may be their last, like the last few nights they have, that they're going to die here alone and afraid. And for a little while, they actually have hope. And I think we even have we even see some of the people across the chasm, sitting like feet dangling over the edge, looking over at us. They can't hear what's being said, but they can see the movements I'm making with the flame and the light, and they're like trying to imagine the stories that are being told themselves.
Hell yeah. Davenn, does this sermon have any effect on you?
I listen to it kind of casually. It's one where I want the people there to feel the warmth and feel the attention. I think that I don't want it to seem like I'm, it's being directed towards me. I want to just sit in the back and be present and allow them to feel what Amber's saying.
I think this success is going to have some multiple boons. The first thing I'll give you, so like I think this is far too anime, but kind of like the feeling and the sight of these people kind of like being bolstered by your sermon, but even just by your presence and by the presence of the fire, it's gonna give. I don't have a name for this effect, but basically you're kind of gonna get 1 free resist, as in even if you roll a 1 to 3, you don't have to mark stress.
Nice.
Give you that because I'm sorry, Amber's close. And the other one is I think you're gonna get a lot of you're gonna get info. that these folks were at first a bit reticent to give you. But I think as the two of you are kind of like about to like head off on the other side of, or at least just keep following the caress, I think the one of their like lead like scouts, and you can see like she has this like old M1 Garand rifle on her back, but you can tell it's been like beaten and battered up to become a crossbow, so it's like a big crossbow rifle. I think she's like, Edda's asked me to lead you towards the edge of the pit. That's where you'll find the night well. I think she looks at the community center. I would offer my services. I think not to disregard your prowess in any way, but this shade that spawned out of the night well is, well, it's quite something. Some shades, I guess you've heard, they usually give themselves names. You know, the blue-hearted dragon or the ebony judge or something like that. This one didn't bother giving a name. Instead, it just sent out its hordes to take. And, well, you've seen the results. We weren't the only people trying to make a dwelling here. Fear for anyone else out there. People have taken to calling this thing the Abscess because for lack of a better term, it's repulsive. It's a terrible, it's a threat, and we've discovered that just looking out into it. And I think out of character, like what you're gonna get is one of the special abilities of the Abscess, who's the final boss of this adventure. I'm gonna paste it here in chat. Basically, she'll explain that kind of like, we saw the Abscess, which is the grotesque nun thing that at least both of you have seen in your visions, has been seen feeding on its own kind, feeding on those insects, feeding some, not those collections because they're made of like other things, but has been feeding on those parasites. Mechanically, that move is called feed. The Abscess can jump and engorge herself any random Murk beast or creature in the area. When she does, she gains 1 armor, fleeting, and a new attack. So watch out for that, basically. So yeah, I think this scout kind of explains seeing the Abscess do that.
Okay.
It doesn't surprise me that there's no loyalty between these creatures, that they're willing to devour one another for just a moment of power.
What is it that they want? Do you know why they do this? Why we have to be out here having to rebuild again and again because they keep popping up and they keep tearing down what we've built.
Don't think of them as people or creatures with desires and wants. They want no more than water wants. When you pour water on a flame, the flame's extinguished. But that's just water's nature. And likewise, the nature of the Murk is to extinguish the light of mankind. But it's not worth trying to ascribe feelings of hatred and like evil, cruelty onto them. Because then, in believing those things, you internalize them into yourself. They are simply a wound that needs to be cleaned.
I think like this scout kind of looks to Davenn, see like you back this up.
I go. That's an ecumenical matter. I leave that shortly to Amber, if you need me to hit it with something, come to me.
Well, I hope with your help, at least we can hold back the flood, so to speak. Anyway, let's
Mhm.
let's go. Let's take you where you need to be. And yeah. Also, because I'm being really nice, that 6 kind of skips an entire obstacle because we don't have all the time in the world. And I think when you kind of keep walking this crevasse, you can feel the ground sloping downwards. Um, you can feel like just ever so slightly. I think she points it out. That's why, like, suddenly you notice that, everything's kind of coming downwards. And I think as you're leaving like this park area, and you're kind of coming on these streets that are now like getting steeper and steeper, and you see like I'm gonna say like this is like a suburban sort of area. But I want to like with that in mind, again, I like to ask you all to paint some details of kind of like this trek, and I'll say like you're not gonna run into anything yet until after you painted the details, so to speak.
I think that this portion of the trek where we're going down, into something. Um, so you've got that descent mentality, and every time you take another step, you feel more pressure, and knowing you're getting closer to something that's buried underground and horrible. But that being said, it also means you're taking one step closer to finishing this one way or another. And there's a little bit of light in that, even in the darkness.
How about you, Amber? What do you notice?
I think I noticed a car from before the fall, big, heavy metal thing that has been stripped for parts. Has had the side, the doors taken off, any like metal panels they'd be taken off. But for some reason, this one, the wheels were left intact, and as the ground sloped further and further, it started to roll downhill, and it's now crashed into one of one of the buildings. It's like crumbling, became like brickwork collapsing on top of it, and just the smell of brick dust in the air.
That's nice. um, Gosh, I think I think, yeah. And I think the sky is just like this murky. I think it's noxious greenish, this dark green haze. That's definitely swirling from somewhere, and um, and I think you can see from as you're walking through these empty streets and the brick dust and like this weird tunnel sensation kind of around you, and you can hear footsteps or like shifting from the distance, like again more of these big things moving about and skittering coming from that crevasse that you're still kind of following. And I think you see suddenly that there's looks like the face of like this building, um, to us modern people, it looks like the front of like a school. This like 1-story brickwork sort of um, building, but you can see that like the actual building itself are kind of sheared off from the face, and you can see that like it's kind of like lying on an incline as you kind of like stand in the doorway of this freestanding school, and you can see that and your scout is like, this is where the pit starts. Through that school, you should see where the Abscess is and where the night well is quite clearly. I'll be waiting here for the two of you, because there's no way out of this pit without any help.
I look at him and I go, if we're not back in 6 hours, wait longer. And then I laugh and gotta turn and start walking in.
God. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just looking at the stuff y'all have. Okay. I think. Ooh. Oh yeah, you do have your communicator marbles. I just noticed that. So if you get separated, who knows? But yeah, I think traversing this school, which again is in a weird incline, is gonna take another action roll. I think for sure. Because like I don't want because this school is not an entire dungeon. We're gonna have to go through room by room. I'm not interested in that. Yeah. Who again is taking point?
I think I'm going to take point on this one. And the reason is I'm going to keep upright to me. And I like to think that I stay upright. So I think that this is probably going to be prowess athletics.
Okay.
Would that be?
Let's see. Prowess 1, athletics 1. I'm gonna say you are in a bit of a disadvantage because you have heavy load. You're kind of loud, noisy, and slow a bit. And this.
No, check my war machine.
Oh yes. That's why you took that. It's not limit your speed.
Nope. So yes.
All right. Disadvantage has been redacted.
Cool. So I will give this a roll. I got a 6. Finally. It's nice to get a 6.
Hell yeah. So I think, not to keep asking you all details of what this pre-Murk place is. Just not to keep asking too much, but I think, what's a detail you find of this like school?
Sure. He keeps walking down and he sees he's kind of like walking down like a big spiral, like it's going down, like a really slow slope for like wheelchair access. And he's going, and he's walking down, and there are piles of trash and things that are ripped out on the sides, most of which is wrecked or destroyed. Though he does lean over at one point and pull out a rollerblade and go, and put it in his pack because he figures that might be something I'll play with later. And he just...
Shoes with wheels. How curious.
Why have we never thought of this? It's so much faster. Yes, he'll develop Heelys, but he starts to just go down and try to be a support. So if Amber loses her footing, he'll just stop her.
I mean, if you want to keep that rollerblade, that's probably going to be loot of 0 load, but it's just scrap, so it's going to you can only sell it for like 2 coin.
Oh, I wouldn't sell it. I'm gonna use that. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
What about Amber? What do you know?
I think at one point, as we're going down, this corridor, and the part of the corridor was like crumbled in, and so we have to take a detour through one of the rooms. And I stumble where the brickwork has pulled apart, and I stumble over a loose brick that I don't notice, and I tumbling towards a wall that I grab to support myself, and right next to where I put my hand to hold myself up is like a much smaller handprint, in paint, that a child had made on a little piece of paper with a badly drawn name on it. It's like Sarah, but where they didn't put the H on
it. Relics of a bygone age. I think you'll get through the school. That's a 6. So I think when you kind of emerge on the other side and see, what the hell did we have way back when, before the Murk? When you kind of come out, you are kind of like at the let me look at my obstacles list. Yes. Um, yeah, I think you can see like the breadth of the pit, and you can see like it's this mass of like collapsed buildings all around you. I think you're standing on like a road, what looks like, it's just a normal street. There would have been like houses next to it, but they've all, the ones to your left have kind of fallen into the crevasse, and the ones to your right have kind of been kind of like falling into the pit. But you do have like a clear road kind of like in front of you, and I think you can see like, yeah, buildings they're collapsing. You see like a big like 4-story parking building that's kind of like in the process of falling into the crevasse. You can hear the masonry and all this, like all these buildings, all this work that you, your biggest town you've seen couldn't even hope to build something like that. You don't know what that's for. Like, we know that's a parking building, or that's a parking lot. But yeah, it's just collapsing in. And I think you can see like in front of you, there's just like a small building. But I think you can feel this conflagration of murk coming from that small building just right ahead of you. I will say though, there is kind of one thing between you and like that small building, and you can see like there's this smaller kind of like little like hole on the ground, and you can hear it kind of like squirming from that hole, and I think you see that there is just like a pile of bodies in that hole, but they're kind of being formed, they're kind of being arranged, um, as and you can see that like it's slowly taking the form of one of those things that you
Do
saw.
we see like one huge hand made out of like a bunch of other body parts gluing itself together,
Yeah.
slowly pulling itself out of the hole?
Yeah. It's not fully formed yet. That's the thing. That's what the 6 also gets you. And also, like, if I'm going too far, I'm always feel free to like put a stop. If I'm just making sure that we're all still good.
I am totally fine with a bit of body color.
Okay. So yeah. So one of these collections is forming itself kind of like in front of you. It's kind of in the way between you and the night well. What do you do?
Is it down in like a hole, or is it like
Yes.
up with us?
It's down in the hole, and it's kind of like being formed. One hand is kind of like coming out, but that's the only thing that looks like it's fully formed. Everything else is kind of like just a pile of bodies being arranged into one of those things.
Huh. Can we close this? Can we close the hole? Can we cauterize the hole?
Oh,
Cauterize the wound?
oh, can you, Amber? I'm asking you again. Oh, is that what Devon's asking Amber?
Yeah, I'm kind of asking, and I'm kind of looking at Fireblood.
Like attune the flame is the living, cauterize wounds. So like, is it a physical like depression full of corpses?
Yes.
Rather than like a hole in the world.
Yeah, no, it's not exactly a hole in the world. It's a hole on the ground.
So I'm not so sure about like Firebloods. I could potentially use like again make a ward to trap it within there, but I'm probably going to need Davenn to fight it back into the hole so I can then cover it with holy flame.
I actually Davenn pulls out his spring caster and bolts, and I go, I really can't hit much with it, but at least I can keep its head down. And that would be the thinking that if it starts to come towards it, I can at least fire bolts into the hole to either do some damage or to knock it back down.
Hell yeah. Okay, so let's see, what are we rolling with that? Let me just copy paste this stat block. Nope. Okay, so yeah, let's see. What attribute are you rolling for that?
Maybe mean, since it's range, maybe an insight as opposed to prowess.
Yeah.
And I don't have, I don't really have shoot, but I'm not necessarily shooting it. I'm not necessarily shooting it to kill it as much as I'm shooting it to kind of threaten it. So I'm thinking insight and vigilance. So I'm kind of looking for tactical places to shoot. You know,
Yeah.
that's my thought.
I'll give you that. Sure, why not?
Yeah.
I'm invested in seeing all succeed.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. I don't think there's any significant advantage or disadvantage at the moment. Would you push yourself?
Sorry, one disadvantage I might say is that if this thing doesn't feel pain, then I imagine that shooting crossbow bolts at it can be less effective.
I will say I do want to give like an advantage or disadvantage to what the characters can perceive. I don't know if they know that yet.
So I'll push myself. So I'll spend a stress.
Okay. It's a neat disadvantage, but I think like maybe if they had known that, maybe you wouldn't be going with this plan anyway. You know, to try and drive it back. So
we're not exactly the most experienced, so.
Yeah. Okay. So that gets you an extra die. The push. So you have 3 dice.
Uh, 2, 3, 5.
All right, that's a 5. So we'll take the highest. 5 is a success at a cost. Success with a consequence. Okay. So you're still gonna succeed. So you are gonna roll your springcaster's damage. How much is that?
1d6.
I did 5.
Wow, that is a lot. Let's see. Okay. All right. Why did I add this? Blunt physical attacks to it do extra 1d3 damage. Okay, I guess I added it. Okay, cool. It's a collection of corpses. It's in the middle of being formed, so I guess it makes sense. There is a function that I roll for a party. You see the button XDY. You can roll 1d3 with that. It's next to new room.
Did you say that blunt weapons do more damage?
Yes.
I feel like a crossbow is the opposite of a blunt.
Okay, that's true. All right, that's true. It's not blunt enough, I suppose. It is a crossbow. Yeah. All right. Thanks for noticing that. All right. So never mind. Okay. So you rolled a 5. Let me delete all this. So what does that look like when Davenn uses their springcaster?
I think he kind of takes it, kind of looks at it a little bit, rips off a couple of the seals because he hasn't really fired it yet, puts in a single bolt, kind of aims down and fires it. And in this case, I think he hits between. There are 2 creatures that are kind of melding and kind of coming together, and in this case, he hits right between the 2 of them, kind of tears it apart. And that's where it's not necessarily devastating, but it's damaging.
Yes, I think it absolutely retracts its hand for sure. And it's kind of coming back to the hole, and you can hear the squirming inside as it tries to get quicker. Here is the complication. I think you feel the earth lurch under your feet, and you kind of go, whoa, you kind of get your toss a little bit forward, and suddenly that small building in the distance looks a bit closer. Also, I'm gonna tick your flame clock, just the 1, because I've not ticked it so far. That's how much silver flame you have left. You have to get it to the nightclub before it runs out. Don't worry, I'm not adding 3 ticks as a complication. I'm just taking this one because I've not done so far.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So the collection has been driven back into the hole. That church in the distance is looking a lot closer for some reason. Amber, what you got?
So now it's time to keep it in that hole. And out of interest, is it does this like the arm that comes out? Are there like the signs of scorch marks from previous battle? Is this the same collection that we fought?
I mean, it would be really sweet if it was. So, yeah, absolutely. I think like you'll notice that like where it was kind of like formed, yeah, there's been like burn marks all over it. Oh my gosh, I don't think it. I don't think it wanted to see y'all again anytime soon.
Like the moment that the shot is fired and the thing like pulls back into the hole, I rush forwards and I'm with the lantern on the end of my staff held by a chain, I sweep that over the hole and back and forth as silver oil is pouring out of it, and it's covering this hole with this shimmering silver flame. Try to create a barrier that it won't be able to crawl through. So that would be another insight. Resolve attune.
Yeah.
2 hits.
I think what Devon did to like hurt a bit more gives you the advantage for sure. It is now in that hole.
6.
Hey, that's geez, you folks are doing really well. Doing amazing well. Yeah, I think the fire burns for sure, and I think
I will say powerful things can powerful things can try to break through the ward. Would you say this collection is powerful enough?
Oh yeah, no, I'm keeping that in my back pocket for later. But for now, you rolled a 6, so it is gonna like stay there, and you can hear the squirming as it almost like tries to rearrange itself into some other form that could break through the fire. But I think the barrier is absolute, and I think you can see like it's almost silhouetted in the flames. You can see just this small building where now you can tell the kind of like the greenish haze is kind of coming from it past the fire, and I think Amber will probably notice more because you're holding the silver flame or the lantern, the light cage with it. I think you can tell that's where the night well is, and almost like in response to like your actions, you can hear again. You can feel like the earth kind of like ripple again, and hear like a scurrying, kind of like in the back of your. I was gonna say back of your ear, but that doesn't make sense. Kind of like in the peripheral like edge of your hearing, like the tiniest of scurrying from afar. Yeah, I don't know what else you're gonna do. You can loot around, but the direction is clear.
So I think now's a good time to start pulling out the climbing equipment. Because I'm imagining that this church is above us and kind of looming in towards us. Is that fair, or was it at the bottom of a pit?
I was gonna say it's kind of at the bottom. I will say that
Okay, cool.
a lot of buildings have kind of collapsed around, so you might need a climbing kit to get back up anyway.
I want to use a climbing kit to tie the rope off so we can climb down into the church.
Okay. I might ask for a roll for that because it sounds difficult or dangerous, and both. I was gonna ask where that revving is coming from. It sounds like a missile is being powered up or something. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It might be my computer. My computer struggles, but it's got a big fan. So I imagine this would probably be a tinker.
Yes, mechanism.
Tinker seems like the best thing, which is not something I have. So it's probably It's probably like Insight Tinker, which is 0 dice.
Yeah. Would Davenn be able to help in this more practical matter of climbing?
This is definitely when it comes to hammers and nails and pythons, and I think this is just a bigger version of what I've done every day for my entire life.
All right.
Yeah, just like looking at a building and we see in your mind it turning into a big shoe.
Yes, just one giant shoe, and I was just like,
All right. Yeah. Take the extra die for an advantage.
I'm very happy to let Davenn roll it because it sounds like Davann's the one with experience, and
Yeah.
I can help you.
So I think this would be prowess, athletics, and then the extra die, because this is pretty much,
Like Amber gave you the climbing kit to set up, basically.
6, 4, 3. So
My gosh, you keep rolling them sixes. What am I gonna do with yourself?
Oh, trust me, we didn't roll one for the first 10 rolls.
That is true. I was like, oh yeah, I remember that fight now. You might have you might have more trouble with that insect swarm than you do with the Abscess. Who knows? Yeah, I think you're gonna climb through, like you can like scale through all these like destroyed buildings. A lot of what us modern people know as cookie cutter suburban housing, for sure. And I think when you kind of make to what feels like solid footing, that's not just sloping down, that's actually level. I think you see this. I've been calling it a church, but in my mind, it's not like an old, Catholic church. It's one of those like modern looking kind of churches. I'm imagining like a roof that's kind of like the Sydney Opera House, like this weird sort of modern like sail looking sort of roof. There's this church that is in my mind. That's where I worked in my previous house where we were in. It's kind of like it doesn't look like it was made, in the 1800s or something like that. This looks like it was made in the 2000s. And I think, she doesn't seem the type to surprise you. I think she is just kind of like, she's kind of like on her knees, as in this figure is kind of like on her knees in like this praying sort of formation. I think you can see as well the crevasse has kind of like turned into like a small crack, and you can see it's leading towards the church. And your eyes kind of follow the crack, and you follow up and you see this figure on their knees and like praying, this like a hooded nun in robes that are basically green from all this muck and slime and God knows what else. I think she's even like, I think she's clasped in her hands, actually, you notice this, Amber, it's a chain, and hanging off the chain is a broken light cage, and she's giving off this like these horrible sort of pants. It's like and I'll give you all one more response, and I think we're going to come to our next break because we're in the top of the second hour. But how does Davenn and Amber react?
I go, friend of yours?
I very much doubt it.
All right, we didn't come this far to, just climb walls. Let's figure out what this weirdness is.
That seems like a good place to cut a scene.
Yeah. Hell yeah. And I think, when we come back, like the full boss title, subtitles will come out and all that. But let's come back again at the half-hour mark. So this gives us a good 8 minutes to stretch our legs, get some water, etc., etc. But I'll see you folks in 8 minutes.
See you then.
All right, and we're back. I say this, I'm gonna make the same joke I've made in 500 other videos, but to anyone who's watching this, they did not experience the actual break because they were just cut from when I paused to when I restarted. So where we left off, it's the two of yourselves, Davenn and Amber, sizing up the Abscess.
Ooh, before we start the scene,
Mhm.
um, could I don't think how I'd phrase this. Could the first scene we have instead be someone from the church telling a young Amber a story about um like a story about shades from the Murk.
Yeah.
Mechanically, what I want to do is I want to roll lore. Um,
Ooh.
I'd like to know some more about shades, but I want it to be framed in a quite storytelling sort of way, if that's
Yeah.
okay. Oh,
Yeah. Um. Let's see. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I think yeah, there's still gonna be a risk because you're trying to remember what you've been told about shades. Um.
I guess the risk might be more um, like could be I remember something very bad, and then we cut to that very bad thing happening.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've got 2d6. Oh shit! I got a crit.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay, all right. So on the crit, you succeed and go beyond. There's an added benefit. So here's kind of the story that's kind of been told about shades. Shades are things that were never born into the world. Nobody's sure exactly where they come from. Some wander like shadowy giants through the murk. Others climb through the night wells, dragging themselves into the world above. They can be compelled if their true name is known. Apparently, some names were studied, etc. They're often fantastical creatures, powerful combatants, and their bodies are partially made of Merc stuff. Their abilities are wide ranging, but there's always something that marks them up from the other Merc beasts in that they are intelligent. They are not the slavering beasts that you know and see. And I think for specifically for shades, it's always better to overestimate how smart they are than underestimate how much they're capable of. It's it's always better to assume the worst because you'll just come out of it the better. And I think as you're kind of remembering that, I think you see the Abscess who's holding this chain um, in their hands, and they kind of move it forward as they're shaking, as they're praying, and you can hear the smallest from the broken light cage, the small hinging squeak. And I think that scurrying that you kind of heard in the distance, it gets a bit louder. And as part of your crit, I'm going to reveal another of its abilities to you. Jesus, it's a crit. What the hell are you doing? Um, Basically, one of its attacks, which basically how kind of combat with a big shade thing is just when it's kind of its turn to move, or when you suffer complication, I can use one of these attacks, and this is one of them. Um, so yeah, you know how it can feed. Yeah, yeah, you can summon up a thing. So that's one of its complications. So you know that going forward, and I do have a bunch, but at least you know that. Um, yeah, but I think because it's a crit as well, the benefit is just it looks like it's gonna let you do the first move, I suppose. Or it's almost not noticing you, the way it's panting. Its eyes are downward. All you see of it is it's these very stretched out these hands whose skin is stretched out over the whatever bones it might have, clutching this broken light cage, and it's just kneeling in front of this church. Let's turn to Davenn then. What do you do?
I wait. I'm going to wait for Amber's lead. If we're going to, how we're going to approach this. I'm willing to jump head on, but it might be stupid. Or you know, I could look over and she could say, "Go get it." So I'll kind of wait for that lead. Won't take much. Just don't want to do something dumb right
And so I think, yeah, when you turn to me looking for like what the plan is, it's like a small smile. I hope this is the fight you've been waiting for.
now. Okay. So I draw my sword, and I just start to head right towards the thing, and with the idea that I'm going to stick the pointy end into that person.
Always.
Oh no, the pointy end, my one weakness.
Yes, lead with the pointy end.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, let's make this roll and see if let's see if this train of sixes continues. This who knows? What are you rolling with?
I'm assuming prowess and skirmish.
Yes.
And do we know anything about the creature that would give me some sort of advantage? The fact that I'm initiating might be advantageous.
You're straight up going just towards it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a big advantage. So I don't think so at the moment.
Okay.
If you're coming downhill, then you do have the high ground.
I do have the high ground. Yes, it is. Star Wars rules.
Yeah, but the way that works is you waited for them to come to you. You're coming to them. You're surrendering the high ground. I'll give you this one advantage for coming down from the high ground. But that's it. You're giving that up.
Yeah. It's like having more of your weight behind you as the first one comes.
6.
Oh, God. You're all doing really well.
No, it did say 665, and then it changed to 2. I was just like,
roll for a party. Here's that typical Forge in Dark feeling. Whenever I run a Forge in Dark game, everyone just gets 6s. Everyone just gets 6s. It's amazing. I know that didn't feel like that in the previous session.
No, it did not.
No, but now you're getting it. Now you're feeling it. Okay, so roll how much damage you deal. Because the funny thing is, like, this game still does that Forge in Dark thing where, like, your character, the player character's roles will still kind of determine, like, how I respond. So you keep rolling those 6s, you're gonna like get going. But 1, you say?
Yep.
Okay. So much for getting another check on that wrecker. Stat. Yeah.
Said that she's partly made of like Murk stuff. Does do we see like the sword go through her? Like it's almost as if she's partly shadow.
I was gonna ask, how do you stab her with the pointy end? Is it a swing or is it a stab?
No, it's basically I'm just leaning in, trying to get a feel for the makeup, kind of pushing my shield up, and then just trying to put the tip in, just to, if she's fighting me, if she's letting me, that sort of thing. It's more feeling it out. I'm not taking any wild steps. This is more just forcing my way in.
Yeah, I think like the tip kind of like, when you kind of like push it in, she almost moves so that the tip goes into her hood, and you feel the sword slicing through something squishy and earthy. And then she stands up, hands still clasping the light cage, and then with just an effort, she kind of like moves forward, and you can feel the sword slicing through something, like something meaty. But it's just kind of disappearing into the hood as she's almost kind of pushing through. And then she kind of like cocks her head at you, and you can still hear the panting, and you can almost feel like there's some like dribbles of like spit like coming from the hood. So like it's
I just feel my mask my visor start to fog up a little bit when I realize that I'm face to face with something nasty.
Yeah, Amber, what do you do? Roll the 6, so I can't do anything. So,
I think I'm going to. It does feel like I've only got one thing I do, which is put up a ward. It's just,
you have a two-handed weapon.
yeah, but that's not nearly as fun as using like fire magic, only fire magic.
Okay.
Like I think, like I want to create a ward that, like, I want to to create a like a ward that traps us in with this shade, like a wall of fire behind us to hopefully stop anything else interfering.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So I imagine that I guess I have to roll to do some
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Is how this game works.
Yeah. So basically, you're kind of creating a barrier. Sorry. You're creating a barrier so that no one else can join in.
That would be another 6.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's a 6. A 6 is a 6. So
I imagine Davenn like stabs thing, like looks back towards me, and just sees our escape route going up in like a wall of fire, and now the area of the crevice that we're in is feeling a lot smaller. Now that the lights are reflecting off of the wet, slimy walls. Rather than having just like the endless expanse that darkness seems to have, this feels like a very cramped space as we're pushing up towards the doors of the church. And also, I imagine that in the same way that light is pouring from the wall of fire, it's as if darkness is pouring from the church. And so
yeah, to like trying to like corral the light. Yeah, that's cool. I'll turn to you, Davenn. There's now some comforting light around you, but the abscess is still kind of like she tilted her head and kind of like tilted your sword along with it because your sword is still stuck in it. What do you do?
I kind of smile. I go, now you're in here alone with me, and I keep the shield up against, and then basically pull the sword out, just try to put it back in, and I'm going to burn one of my stress to add a third die.
Hell yeah. Let's see. You're kind of at an advantage. Just can't really go anywhere. That's definitely an advantage.
So, can I add a third die?
Mm-hmm.
So
we also can't go anywhere.
Well, that too. But we'll cross that bridge when you defeat this thing.
All right. 2, 6, 1, 3. So.
Wow, the 1-6. If you didn't have that 6, it would have been real bad. All right, deal your damage. Oh, go ahead.
6.
Wow. All right. So, God, all these successes. What am I even going to do? What am I even going to do? All right. Yeah, I think that swing will kind of like, it's going to like blast it out. Or not blast it out, but I think it's going to like knock it down for sure. And I think like for all its like bravado, it was trying to be all, oh, I'm tough. Whoops, sorry. I actually wrote down 16 instead of what the actual HP is. No, it's not 16. Don't worry. It kind of gets like knocked out. I think you see it like for all its like big pomp and circumstance, it is still, for lack of a better term, a grimy nun. I think it looks quite a bit small and it's like knocked down to the earth. I think. Just to make a move, because I kind of have to. I think, Amber, how do you know when someone's trying to break through one of your wards?
I think the light of the flame goes from this like perfect pristine silver to like a dirty like gray, like blue gray, like a much more dirty, mundane sort of color.
Yeah.
And smoke it actually produces just like an unpleasant, noxious metallic smoke.
Yeah. Okay. Something. Okay. Right. So it turns out there is like a way to do initiative here that I completely misplaced. So it's fine. It's too late. It's too late. Turns out I would have been able to do some stuff. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Okay. Yeah. So I think you feel that definitely that ward you put up around that collection. I think you can feel like it's something. You can feel it's something's trying to break through. Do you want to resist that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what are you resisting with?
Actually, I don't. It's got to be resolve.
Yeah, that gives you like, 3
Oh,
dice.
shit, yes, 3 dice. Nice. Hopefully, it's enough. That's not enough.
Oh.
1, 1, 2. Sorry, 1, 1, 2, 2.
Yeah. I think. Okay, here's what happens. Don't worry, you don't take 1 stress because remember I gave you that thing from the community center. So you use that up. I'm gonna put a clock on the field. It's a 4-step clock, which is collection breaks through, and I got 1 tick to it. So it doesn't break through completely, but you now have like a time limit for someone. But then they have to break through this one as well. You know how it is. Okay. So I turn to either of you. Technically, the person with a lighter load goes first. That's what I found out now.
I guess that makes sense.
That would make sense, but it's fine. You kind of let Davenn get the first hit in, which is perfectly fine with me. And that crit made sure that you got the first attack in. Yeah, so this creature that feels repulsive has been knocked down to the ground, and I think it's trying to get up, but in a weird herky jerky. It's not in a most human-like manner. It's like its knees bent first, and then it's almost kind of realizing that's maybe not how it goes. So it's like twitching on the ground as it's trying to get up. Yeah, what do either of you do?
I think I put it down like an animal. That's my thought. It's just to lean forward and try to end it just like I would a wounded creature.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't think there's any more advantages you can get.
So 1-4.
Ooh, 4. Okay, you still a success, but there is going to be a complication. Do your damage first.
5.
5. You're nearly there. You're so close, but I think, let's see. What thing? Okay. Yeah, I think. How do you try to put it down?
Basically, I think that if the creature falls forward, I basically try to put the my sword right between its shoulder and trying to drive it right down the organs, kind of like a gladiator's final blow.
Yeah. So I think as soon as you do that, suddenly it kind of shrieks, and this huge outpouring of gas starts to explode from it. And yeah, this is an AoE I just wrote. Look at the stats. This is going to affect you as well, Amber, because you put that barrier around you. And I think once this gas kind of explodes, you feel this choking kind of sensation to both of you. All right, so the both of you are gonna get roll me a d6. The both of you. That's corruption, actually, not damage.
3.
3.
Wait, nope, that is not. I decided to roll 6 dice rather than a d6. Try that again. 4.
Yeah. Okay. So what this attack does is actually 1d6 corruption plus 1d3 damage, because it's kind of a last resort exuding of gas. So if you want to roll like a d6 and divide it by 2, or roll that 1d3. Sorry, it's a lot of dice.
1 damage.
Okay.
And so you said 1d3 damage?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Amber only has 6 HP.
1.
Hell yeah. All right. So, do you want either of you to resist all that corruption plus damage that you got?
I am definitely resisting that corruption.
Yep.
Okay,
Bring
let's
it
do
up to
this.
10.
Let's do this one by one, because I remember roll for party is not good with doing things
It's
simultaneously.
really not.
It's really not. Let's start with Davenn. Oh, actually, I should put the entire text of this attack, because it will require resolve or prowess resist, which either should be fine.
Yeah,
But
so that's 2 dice for me.
yes.
6 and a 3.
Nice. So on a 6, yeah, you resist the thing. Oh, resist the thing, half damage versus very powerful foes, which this one definitely is. So you're gonna take half that corruption and half that damage, which is what, 0.5? No, that doesn't exist. So I think you just negate it because you, so you just negate the damage. So, but you only take half the corruption.
All right, that rounds up. So that's 2, right?
Yep. Okay, so what about Amber?
Yes, I'm definitely resisting. I also have a rebreather, which is like a pre-Murk respirator, which allows me to breathe in smoke, gases, etc. So would we say that counts as like an extra die to resist?
Yeah, I think yeah, I'll give you that.
Cool. And if it's resolved, that would be 4 dice.
More 6s. Come on. Okay, I see why you want to roll 6s, because like this attack, which I kind of copy off something else, is if it keeps triggering, it would be quite devastating. But you rolled a 6, so half corruption and half damage. Again, the 1 gets resolved, turns into a 0.5, which you just negate it. So I think. So how does Davenn and Amber, how do you kind of like power through this like choking gas attack?
Well, first I'd ask, is the thing dead?
No.
Okay,
It's
cool.
flopping. It's kind of like flopping against Devon's sword, twitching like really hard. It's like being shocked with electricity, but it's not dead.
I think Davenn right now, he realizes that he's just about to defeat his first real enemy. I think nervously he's just not breathing right now, and that's and if he was more comfortable, he probably would have taken more damage. But in this, his innocence actually helped him a little bit. I think that's why he didn't. It wasn't so bad for him.
What about Amber?
I think visually we see like this, like as the stab goes in, it's like huge pouring of smoke like emerges, and everything goes dark, and then we just see like my face like pushing through, like mask on, like this the heavy sound of breathing that you get when you're wearing a respirator, like the almost like mechanical like sound of it. As I'm like pushing through, and I think I'm staggering into the doorway of the church, like trying to get out out of the cloud of smoke.
And Davenn tries to take this as his opportunity to end the creature. So I burn one more stress, just because I imagine I'm very stressed.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would say this will be the killing blow. It is down to 1 HP.
554. So
oh, now the mixed successes come. Thanks.
for 5 points of damage.
Oh wow. Well, like I just said, it's down. It was down to 1 HP. Jesus, you rolled really well. Yeah, man, I didn't even get to trigger its regenerative ability. It's fine. It's fine. You got success. So, what does it look like when you go for the killing blow?
I think he still had the sword inside the creature, and the gas kind of is now finally starting to dissipate. He puts it, and he kind of leans his whole body over the course of the creature. So if it were to kind of blow up again, he takes all of it, and he just says, "Don't fight it, just go."
Yeah, I think. Okay, here's the complication. I know we're nearly wrapping up, so this might not make anything, but so this is just like a narrative complication. I think when you kind of get close, you feel something like squirming of it, and as it's like getting limper, it's going limp from your last attack. I think you hear like something kind of like burst from it, and I think it kind of like lands on your person, and you see it's a spider. It's a familiar kind of looking spider, for sure. And I think it kind of like before you can even act, it kind of skitters underneath your armor, and as soon as like it kind of comes contact to your skin, you kind of hear this like chorus of like whispering. I kind of want to know, and I know I don't want to speak for Steven's character, but what does the mother of Myriad Young kind of like start saying to you, Davenn, that kind of like fills you with a bit of dread?
It says, "Fire is defensive. Your steel is flawed, but shadows are true power."
Yeah, as kind of like the abscess kind of like goes limp at your feet, as the mother of Myriad Young has passed on its message to you as it goes back into the shadows. Amber, what are you doing?
I'm like pushing through the big heavy doors of the church. I'm like I've got like the ceiling is partly buckled in, and so I'm like physically forcing like the door open and trying to find the Nightwell.
Yeah, it's not hard to find because it's a small church. It's a one-room sort of church, but you can see the Nightwell is right in the middle, and Nightwells, they kind of take their own different kind of forms, but this one is like just, it sounds like it's choking, munching. It sounds like it's just engorging on whatever's on something. It's like a more grotty Sarlacc pit, I'd say. And the room is kind of like tipping into it. You can see the altar where the church is. It's almost kind of like tipping forward. It's about to like fall in.
Is like the thing the Nightwell is like emerging from, or the whole like it's collapsing into the font of the church.
Yeah, I'd say.
A cool image, like the church like caving into the center, where like a font where the sounds of like churning, choking.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
And I think I'm like slow, like we see him like Amber walking, like walking forwards, swinging the light of the silver flame like a censer in a church, and as like darkness that's pooling around on the floor is being like pushed back, but in the same way the water is pushed back as you cross through it, and it reforms around me in a circle, and just this small puddle of light, this small pool of light, venturing into the darkness, and I am going to stand above the night well and intend to pour the flame into it. Though I imagine I might need to, I imagine that gazing upon it is the kind of thing that requires rolls to.
If I remember correctly, like the main thing is just getting
Okay, cool.
Night Cage
Mhm.
in the silver flame into the night well. Like the big threat was the big threat was meant to be the shade when you took care of that. So this is almost like the formality is pouring the cage, because like the night well is where all these things come out, but you know it's kind of nothing without the shade that it birth. So yeah, I think when you pour the fire into it, I think it starts when it's making these gorging munching sounds, but when you pour the fire into it, it starts choking. The night well just sounds like it's drowning. But even then, the sounds of the drowning is being cleansed by the fire, until all it sounds like is like it's like you're filling up a well. And I think Devon, you can see this from as well, kind of like as well. That green haze coming from the church, it's like being burnt away. It suddenly started kind of like fading. It's like coming out to the sky, being blown out to the sky, and you can hear like the scurrying almost quick from the crevasse, almost quicken as these insects start kind of like running from the fire, and you can feel like the noxious gases kind of being burnt away. Um, that crevasse is going to stay there because a crevasse is a crevasse. But yeah, I think as the night well closes, I kind of want to know how each of you are feeling.
Before I describe how I'm feeling, I one bit of sensory description. Imagining is the sound of the choking, gurgling, drowning, slowly shifts into the sound of just a clean running stream, and now it's just clean water is trickling out of the font. Um,
That's lovely.
I think Devon right now is kind of sitting there and he's amazed by the fact that the thought, I hope my shop is okay, is running through his head. And then he realizes that maybe this isn't all he's always wanted to do. This was a lot more. This was not like what the stories say. So he's going to have some choices to make.
Okay. Usually there's a whole rigmarole when going back into town, selling off stuff you get. We didn't even do much looting because we're not gonna follow up on this. But yeah, I do kind of want. I think we're kind of gonna go into epilogue sort of territory. So if you all may think about kind of the last couple of shots. I don't want it to just be one shot if folks feel like you need to address other things folks in Terrell, folks in that community center or anything. But yeah, have a think about what was the last things we see of these two.
I think from Devon's perspective, um, you see him, he's back at his cobbler's bench and he's working and he's got his sword, hung up on his wall. He's got the suit of armor kind of in a closet and he's working. You see him kind of bartering and smiling with somebody that works in the town. And then you just hear a voice in the background, Devon, we have a problem. And he just goes over and he grabs his sword.
Was the person that said, Davenn, we have a problem, was it the girl from the community center?
Absolutely. So he's, he realizes that he's going to do both now. When needed, he can do this, but he's not going to seek threat. He'd seek death every day.
I think oh, sorry, did you have more?
Nope, that's it. That's
Okay.
pretty much it. Yeah.
I think I've seen we see of Amber. It's a pair of thick big wooden gates opening up like the gates of the town, like and and as they open, light pours out, and on the road, we see Amber, Davenn, and all of the people of the community centre, belongings on their backs, um, torches in their hands, as the light of the city pours over them, and they are, for now at least, somewhere safe they can call home. And then as we see them all going in through the gates, Amber's standing there, a light still in hand, and the gates start to close as she turns around and goes back out to close the next night well.
That sounds like a fab image to end our short two-part series. Thank you all very much for being here, and also shout outs to Stephen, who was sorely missed for today. But yeah, I hope the two of yourselves had fun playing Into the Dark. I'm gonna stop this recording then, and again, shout out to Gauntlet for making sure this is all possible. And I'm gonna stop recording. Goodbye, YouTube.